to the A.D.K channel. I'm of course Dave. I am here today behind this inauspicious door. We are at London Road Rehearsal and Recording Studios. Today we're going to have a bit of a behind the scenes look at the studio. We're going to talk to Max and we're going to head inside now and we'll have a chat. Let's go. Okay, so we're inside. I'm here at London Road Studios. As I said from the outside, I'm here with Max. Welcome.
Well,
I should be saying welcome. I'm here in your place. Yeah, so today we're going to have a little bit of a look because I've obviously used the studio with my band, Telescribe, bit of a prompt, and a lot of other people we know, Scarlet Envy and lots of the other guys, Before the Sirens, Jackal's Backbone, you name it. If you know the bands, they pretty much Low Down with Dave, and the rest of the guys use the studio as well. So what I wanted to do today was do a little bit of a breakdown about the studio, talk about because you're involved in a lot of the events. Every time I sort of see there's an event going on within the Hertfordshire area, your equipment is there, and you seem to be doing a lot of work with that, so we'll talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about your recording setup, and we're also going to have a look at a couple of the different rehearsal studios, because I'm really intrigued. The world has changed massively since I started playing back in the 90s in rehearsal studios, which were like these dingy rooms with equipment that was falling apart, drum kits that hadn't had the skins changed in about 5 years.
Yep.
The legs were held together with gaffer tape, so they were like you were hitting the floor tom and it was collapsing under as every time you hit it. Amps were the same two amps. We always had a Marshall JCM 800, and you would probably get something like a jazz chorus type Roland thing, and that would be your two amps that you had the choice out of, and the worst bass amp you've ever seen in the world. And that was kind of your setup, and with these really polystyrene roofs with holes in them and really horrible carpets. But the rehearsal studios and recording studios have massively changed, so you've obviously had to invest a lot of money. So I think where I'd like to start this off is, so London Road Studios, I've only known about it since obviously moving into the Hertfordshire area and being more involved with the bands, but how long has the studio been going?
I believe it's been 15 years, 15 or 16 years in total. And the newer building's been here 5 years now.
Right, okay.
Which has gone very quick.
Yeah, that was very quickly, especially if you only think COVID was only kicked off that was 3 years ago since that. So yeah, okay.
It's still fairly new in here. About 15 years in total.
And was it just the rehearsal studio initially, and was recording added in later, or was it always the idea that the recording element would be there from day one? Or
yeah, the recording was always there from day one. It was only 2 rooms to begin with, so it was the recording room and then a rehearsal room at the back. Then we expanded to 4 rooms, and now we have 7 in total.
Which keeps you busy.
It certainly does. Yeah.
It does. So let's kick in straight into like the recording setup, because I've not been here, but I do know obviously a few of the bands. I know the latest EP, Before the Sirens, was shot in here, and you've had a massive shout out from Alan, who always mentions you whenever we talk about the
that was a great session, that one.
Especially, I mean, we talked about Low, what a great sound on Low, and then of course obviously the rest of the EP, but Low was just thunderous. It was that opening of a song just comes with those drums. It's just it's great, and
enjoyed working on that one a lot.
I could tell. I could tell from the production. So do you want to take us through what we're looking at here? Because this is obviously your the recording room setup. So just take us through a little bit about what's happening.
Sure. So we've got Allen Heath GS 3000, which is just your old school analog recording desk. So you've got 32 inputs, EQ on every channel. We've got your aux ends. Pretty standard stuff for a mixing desk. Sounds great. Gives you lots of options in which way you want to record. That's all going into an Orion 32 Plus, so that's a really high grade sort of DA. We had these Sienna speakers that they're actually sort of built with Richard and Studio Exchange or SX Pro. That was sort of something that they were building themselves.
Right.
So yes.
So quick question on this, because I've seen there's always a question in monitoring.
Yes.
About should the monitors be on their ends or should they be on their sides? Now I've seen
it changes.
It changes. Right. Okay. So this is a good question.
Some you can do both, but it depends on the speaker. Some are built to go that way, some are built to go that way.
The importance, now I know this, but for anyone that's watching this is not sure, what is the importance about their positioning and specifically their height?
So it can be to do with phase. So if they're slightly out of whack, you're not going to get the truest representation of what you've recorded. So you want it to translate really well from, so if it sounds great in here, you want it to sound great everywhere else. If you're kind of skewed in what you're hearing, it's gonna be a lot of a harder process for it to sound better elsewhere.
And we've got sort of specific stands. Again, the importance of the sort of stands that you're using to hold these monitors on.
Yeah.
So some people might go, oh, why don't you just put them on a stack of books or something like that, or put them, there's some bricks, just stack them on some bricks, that'd be fine. Why wouldn't you just do that?
So these are isolation stands, I guess you want to call them. Basically, it stops any unwanted vibrations from vibrating through the stand, which can, again, it can skew the sound and change what you're actually hearing. So yeah, that's quite an important part of your monitoring setup. Yeah.
Now we have a sound treatment, not a soundproofing in this room.
Yeah,
there's probably an element of soundproofing as well.
A bit of both, yeah.
So we can see it. So we've got these here, we've got these in the back corners, and very specifically behind the monitor. So how did this come about? How did you design the sound treatment for this particular room? Because we've obviously got some bass traps, we've got some other bits going on. So was this actually, because there are design tools for doing sound treatments, or was this kind of a finger in the wind moment and got, we'll stick something on that wall and test it and see what happens?
No, there's a bit more planning. There's a bit more planning than
always worth asking.
Yeah. So Richard, the owner, he's done quite a few studio builds over the years. So he's got quite good knowledge on how to build it. And obviously, as we moved into this new unit, this was just an empty warehouse. Right, so we had complete control over what we were going to do. It wasn't just this room was already here. Yeah. This is going to be the control room. So that's why the bass traps are actually built into the walls. So
I was noticing the angles as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the fact that you're not a square boxed room. You've actually angled it down, which you don't normally see necessarily unless it's been customly built to do that.
Exactly that. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great sounding room. And again, going back to the translation, most things you mix in here, it's going to sound great elsewhere, just as good as it does here. So that's the aim of the game. That's really the aim. With that, yeah.
One thing I've noticed in a lot of studios, they're now moving away from. A lot of people are moving away from the physical desks and going almost digital boards. So you're seeing these big monitors built into the desk. They're moving. Personally, what's your view on that? Do you like the technical or the textile touch of actually using the sliders and twiddling a knob, or is it a case of that you're quite? Because I know it's quite an interesting way that people like it. Some people like to be able to feel it and be able to grade it themselves. Even though you're not getting any tactile feedback from the knobs, you like it. But some people quite like the digital aspect and swiping screens. And
I'm a bit of both. I like a sort of hybrid system. We actually used to have just a digital setup in here, but I learnt on this side of things. So it's kind of, I think we found a really nice middle ground. Between analog and digital stuff. So we've got some really nice preamps over there, like Neve 1073 set API, and all that sort of stuff, which you get such a great sound from. But then it's all going into digital anyway at the end of the day. So it's just, again, this is more for flexibility. So we can have the really nice preamps, going through our nice compressors, and EQ on the way in.
Right.
Sort of old school how you would have done it back in the day. Or we can just go straight in, clean as you like, and then do all that stuff after. So that's why I think it's a good hybrid system. It's flexible. However you want to work, you can do it.
So talking old school, we've got an old reel-to-reel here. So talk me through this, because I can't believe you'd actually still use anything like this.
So this was Richard's dad, and we use it for mastering. It's quite a rare occasion, I'll be honest. It does get used nowadays. There's so many great plugins. There's actually a plugin of this machine as well.
You can get that same effect. It's a great look.
It does get used, but very very rarely nowadays. But it's cool thing to have.
So with if your band's coming wanting to kind of book into you here, I mean, obviously, do you do your prices based on a day rate? Do you do like a set? I mean, how does it work? Do they go like, we want to come in and do a song, but we don't know how long it's going to be, or do they go, we're really sorted, we're perfect, we can get in and out in 4 hours, no worries, mate. What's your kind of view on where this comes from, and what do you decide?
Every project's different.
Okay.
So we do have a day rate, and obviously whatever gets done on that day, that's what you get done on that day. It becomes apparent, as time goes by, whether you're going to need more time or not. But usually when we book in a project, we'll have a big conversation beforehand, and say, right, realistically, like how long are you going to take, what you're going to need, and obviously we'll try and get it down in as little as time as possible, but by still creating a product that you're happy with. You don't want to just rush through things just because it's gonna, we want a good product.
I'm curious, has it ever happened? I'm sure it must have happened where you've had band come in and gone, we're ready to record our album. We're sorted. We want to do 8 tracks. We're going to do it we can do it in 4 days. Easy, no worries. We can get all the drums done one day. We'll get that. And obviously, in most cases, in a lot of cases, would do a guide track for them, or would you just go straight to the click?
Again, everyone's different. So some people really like playing to a click. Some people will do a lot of preparation at home, which saves a lot of time. Again, it's one of those things, if you have that conversation at the start of the project and you say, right, if we're looking at how long we're going to need, and they go, right, we've got the guide tracks, then we can have a listen and go, well, great, that takes out half a day of preparation in that sense. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to play it by each artist. Some people will come in and go, right, I just want to play straight to a click, do all the drums one day, and it will happen that easily. And then other times you'll get someone come in and then it'll take a bit longer. Yeah, exactly, and you have to find ways to work around it.
So if you get because drums are generally most likely going to be the first thing tracked in most bands because they want to get that down to work to, because you don't want to have guitarists going straight to a click if the drummer's not on it.
Yeah.
Saying as a drummer, I know exactly what that is. I get that criticism all the time. We want to be loose, we want to be groovy. I mean, you want to be sloppy, but but. Does it happen when you get a band in there and they're recording, the drummer comes in and he's like, right, let's go, and it's just all over the place, and you're like, we need a conversation, because you've said you're going to do this in 4 days, you're not even going to get the drums done in 4 days because you're not ready. Have you had to have not ready conversations and say to the guys, you need to go away and work on this before and come back another day? Maybe
once or twice, but usually we can get something out of it. Again, like I said, it becomes apparent quite early in that sort of thing, when you go, right, okay, we're 3 hours in and we're meant to be getting 8 tracks done and we're still halfway through one.
So it's not locking the way you want it.
You just have to be honest and say, look, if you want something, that's going to be top quality, we're going to have to rethink about how we're going to do it, or cut the amount of songs you're going to do and really focus in on this 1 or 2, or. But I mean, I've been quite lucky. Most people have been pretty good that we've had. So
a lot of prep work.
Yeah, more preparation the better. It's only going to help you in the long run.
Cool. Let's go and have a look in the actual room that we use. So let's head through. This one's also used as a rehearsal room. It's not being used for recording. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So is this the largest rehearsal room?
Yeah. This is the largest rehearsal room. Yeah.
Okay, so we can use this because I know we've used next door a few times, so I know this is a little bit. This is actually about an extra 25% larger than the one next door. I'd say about width-wise, it's about the same depth. It's just
maybe a bit more.
Yeah, so the other one's about that, I think, roughly.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So that room actually works for the studio as well. So if we say we're doing a live recording, we can have the drummer in there and everyone else in here, or the other way around. You can have here, and we can send amps through to there. So that's actually part of the studio too.
Okay,
so it's just handy to have a separate room. So we can, I've done loads of live recordings where we can just sort of separate things, get a much better separation. But so that does double up as a rehearsal room as well.
Because I've noticed so far, so about the 2 rooms, would the vocal recordings be done in one of these 2 rooms, or do you have a separate little walk? Because a lot of the time we talk about vocal rooms being quite close, you don't get any of that bounce back.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And in here, you've got I know, although we've got traps etc. on the ceilings and on the walls, but you've still got the diffuser,
Yeah.
But you've still got quite a lot of things for things to bounce off of here if you were doing vocals.
That's
so how does vocals work from a recording point of view in here?
I've got some screens that I bring out. I've got screens on the roof for the guy over the top, and takes it from this to dead quiet.
I was getting a sweat moment and going, where'd you get the vocals from? Because I'm sure there should be some rooms or walls that you can bring in on here.
Yeah, we've got some, just basically chock full of insulation, big screens, and you can just bring them in, and you can, on the distance, kill the sound completely, or just have it a bit more open, depending on what you're looking for in that track.
So when we talk about, so obviously you've got the camera when you guys are wherever the camera is, it's around here somewhere. Oh, there. For obviously communicating back and forth, so you don't have to go back through one room to the other, etc. And so doing your talkback. But what I really like about your particular studio is the equipment you get to use. So I know most bands will obviously still bring their own heads, etc., or whatever they are. So if you're hiring. If a band was coming in and going, look, we want to use it for a rehearsal, what do they get as part of their hire? Do they get to use the heads, or are you just cabs only? Or
so everything you can see in the room now comes within the price. So you get the bigger rooms have more than 2 cabs, but each room will have 2 cabs, 2 heads, a bass, cab and head. Drum kit, obviously you have to bring breakables, so your cymbals, snares, sticks, and well, we do supply kick drum pedal, but people tend to like their own as well.
Drummers are funny like that.
And obviously the PA and the 3 microphones. The 2 larger rooms have a electric piano in them as well.
Okay.
So that's all included with the price. If you need extra mics and stuff as well, we can always.
I'm always going for the Steady Shore SM58s in all
rooms, can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong with an SM58. Okay. So I'm curious about. So if I was a guitarist and I'm in here and I'm like, do you know what? That's not the sort of thing I'm after. That's just the wrong head. If I was like, what else have you got? Could you swap that out from another room? If it was like, I need the head, but this is not the sort of thing I need. I want something a bit more of I'm more of a jazz player. This isn't really working. This has got the wrong tone. Whatever it is, I'm not a guitarist. I have no idea. But that's just too much. I want something that's just simple. Have you got a different head that I can use in here?
We do. We have many amps. I
want a 10-watt combo that I want to use. That's what.
You're more than welcome to. We've got loads of amps. So we've got Marshall Orange Box. All sorts of Fenders. So there's room to move stuff around if we need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, so I'm guessing not everyone looks after the equipment as well as they should. Drummers tend to be, but things do go wrong, things get broken. Now, is that something you have to ship out somewhere to go and get repairs, or is it a case that you just can kind of, if you've got a blown fuse in the amps, you've got skin breakages do happen, but obviously we do get damages in these sort of areas where they wear and tear, etc. Is this sort of stuff that you deal with in-house when you're...
most of the time.
Expect that it's going to happen.
Wear and tear.
I know when drummers take when drummers take the hi-hat clutches home. Sorry, my bad.
It's general wear and tear. We try and keep the skins up, as nice as possible. We've got to deal with Evans, so every month or two or 3 months, depending on how in good condition they are, they'll get swapped out.
If you have Nick Blues coming in from Cage Fight doing some drum tutorials, then they get knackered.
He actually teaches drums here.
He does, yes. Mr. Nick Blues does drum tuition, yes.
He's in today, actually.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Hi, Nick!
Things, it depends on what's wrong with amps. Like I said, if it's a blown fuse or something like that, we'll fix that ourselves. But if it's something a bit bigger than that, we've got a few places that we can go to get them fixed elsewhere.
Have you ever had an issue in a rehearsal room where a band is just inexperienced enough to that they've just cranked everything and just gone completely, and you've had to come in here and go, guys, you need to sort this out because you're rumbling the whole building, because they've just gone, I've seen Spinal Tap and I want to take it up to 11, and they've just gone across the board and just whacked everything up and they're just cranking distortion pedals.
Yeah, occasionally we've had some young bands in kind of do that. It's quite exciting.
Sorry guys, could you just put it down?
Quite exciting if you've never played through like a full stack before and something like that. So we have had it, but
how do you handle do you just ignore it, or do you go in and say, guys?
Just say, like, come on, you're gonna not only do the equipment in, but you're hearing as well. So
and all the feedback you're getting, all the whistling from the mics and
because what we'll do is we'll kind of set everything where it should roughly be anyway. So it should be pretty good from the off. And if you are cranking it a bit more, then it's up to you really, but as long as it's like I said, as long as you're not damaging the equipment or anything, then it's all good.
So if you were hiring this room for 3 hours, what would sort of roughly be the price on something like this with all the gear?
For rehearsal, it's £20 an hour this room.
Okay. Which is a very, very good deal, personally.
And that's, like I said, that's everything that you can see in it. Yeah. That's included in with that. You don't have to pay extra for amps or drum kits.
The hidden costs, I've seen a lot of places do the hidden costs.
Yeah, that's it.
So this, I mean, how many people would you say in a room like this, comfortably, this sort of size room would fit band? Because obviously a 4-piece band's going to be plenty of room, great setup.
I mean, this mostly gets used for sort of like 6, 7 pieces, something like that. We've had a few occasions where there's been more. It's been a bit tighter, but we've still got them in. There's like a 8, 9-piece reggae band that come here. They come in here. So yeah, roughly around there.
Okay. So what we're going to do is let's go and have a look at the smaller studios. Okay, well, there we go. With magic, we've now appeared in our small rooms. This is I couldn't even say what's this, about 100 square feet roughly, give or take, something around that area.
Something around that, yeah.
Somewhere around that. So this is going to be suitable for a maximum of 4 piece. You're not going to be feeling much more comfortable with more than 4 people.
No, I'd say 4 pieces.
Especially the size of pedal boards nowadays. They're out here somewhere. But yeah, what's great to see is in here you've still got exactly the same sort of equipment. We've still got sort of amp pegs. We've still got Marshalls. I've got another Marshall there. We've got a third Marshall which is being used as a desk. Working or broken?
Working.
It's working.
It is working, yeah.
What if anyone's actually ever set that up and just plugged it in like that and just left it where it is and used it like that?
Very well could.
So same setups. We've got diffusers in here. Nice lighting actually. I don't remember seeing those in some of the other rooms, but maybe you have, and I've never used them.
Most rooms have got coloured lighting, yeah.
So why? Is there a reason why we would have mood light? Is this something that bands want, or is it just a random decision to put?
Just a bit of vibe, really.
A bit of vibe, and getting used to being on stage.
Yeah. Sort of. Instead of it just being bright white light, you can actually turn off the the plain lights and just have the coloured lights on if you want. Which is cool.
And what's a room like this for 3 hours? How much does something like this go for?
This is 12 an hour.
Okay, so I mean, again, if you're a standard 3-4 piece rock band, this is going to be more than enough.
Yeah.
Get all this equipment to use, same setup.
It's exactly the same. So in that price, it's the same. You get your 3 mics, 2 guitar amps, bass amp, drums. So yeah.
So one question I do have from playing in these rooms, and no air conditioning.
No.
So what's the reason behind that? Because it's one thing I did notice in a lot of studios from historically. Some have had them, some haven't.
Yep.
Some were awful ones that made so much racket they just falling apart. But
so there is an air exchange unit.
Oh, okay.
So it's not for aircon. Like it will take out all the sweat, and mustiness, and it will be replaced with fresh air.
So we talk about Nick Blues, musty. There you go. Nick Blues and his sweatiness, his plaid shirts. Sorry, Nick. He'll get me back for that later.
Yeah, but all rooms will have a fan in it as well.
And the drummers nick those most of the time.
A lot of the time.
Yes, we do. So I want to talk about events. So as I mentioned earlier on, you've done some work. So you're very busy most of the weekends. So how do you get involved? Is this like events approach you and say, look, we're putting on bands?
Yep.
We had Red Fest the other weekend.
That's correct, yeah.
Which I'm sure you were doing that one, and I'm sure there's been plenty of others that you've done. But do the events come to you and say, look, we want to hire equipment and want you to do you do the sound, do you do the mixing as well on those? Or?
Yeah, so we're really flexible with that sort of thing. We've had people come to us and say, we're putting on an event, can you help us put the bands? Which obviously we'll do. We can also do the sound, we can supply stages, like inflatable domes or marquee stages, and then we also put on just our own events at different venues. So yeah.
Oh, okay, didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
Excellent. What other so any other services that we haven't covered? So we talked about recording, we've talked about rehearsals, and you've obviously done works with events. What other things do you offer?
That pretty much covers it. We do have we have people like tuition, guitar and drum tutors that come down and teach from the room. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, we can help you out with that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Final question then from me is, so what's the plan next for London Road? So we've had 15 years, you've got your recording studios, you're obviously quite busy with that and of course all the live events you're doing over the summer, which keeps you busy. But have you got like a more long-term plan? Are you looking to expand it even more? Are you looking to take on more studio rooms or more locations? Or?
Just to keep expanding, yeah. We're going to just keep cracking on doing what we're doing, getting plenty of recordings out there in the world. And live events, it's kind of like Richard tends to do more of that, the live stuff. I tend to do more of the studio side of things. But again, he's going to want to push that and stay busy with the live events.
So, well, just want to say a big thank you to Max for showing me around London Road. I know you've got some recording work to go off and do.
I do.
Any second now. So just a big thank you. If you're interested, we'll put some details in the description for the London Road studios, but if you're in the Hertfordshire area, definitely a studio to come and use.
Thanks for coming, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Take care.